David, keep down from Sky Sports News.
Aye.
Nice to meet you, nice to see you. How have your first 9 days in the job been?
Is it as long as 9? It doesn't feel like that. This is my first day at the training ground. I've not had a chance to get here. Obviously I went to Rotherham, watched the game, and then we flew out the next morning. And we've been in France and Switzerland round that way for the last week. So I've enjoyed being with the players. It's great to get back in the grass again. And it was a great place we stayed in. Had some good games, the players got a bit of fitness out of it. So really getting to know them. That's the first thing I've got to do.
You've had that 8 months out of the game. Do you feel relaxed, fresh, ready to go again?
Yeah, I've been out, but I've been busy. I've done an awful lot of things. I've been to watch training in other sides of the world. I've been involved with UEFA a lot, whether it be watching the Euros or whether it be taking the pro licensed coaches. So I wouldn't say I've been away from the game. I watch as much football as I can. So, but I think it is. I think modern management means now that I think you'll see more and more of managers taking breaks during their career because of the way it is. So the answer to that is I've really enjoyed my break. It was great to play some golf, be with my wife a bit more and the family. But this is what I do, and I want to get back and get on with it.
Sunderland are the one team in the Premier League who are yet to make a signing. I'm sure you're well aware of that yourself. How frustrating has it been that you've been unable to make that breakthrough in the transfer market?
Well, I don't know if you're referring that to me or if you're referring it to the club, but you have to remember that the FA have been talking to Sam now probably for about 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know if you can really do much business during that period. So you've got to give us a wee bit of grace on that. And I do think that it does take a little bit of time. They only avoided relegation late in the season and getting things in place. But we'll make things work. Things will turn around. We'll get signings in. We've got offers in for players just now, and I'm hoping that we can get things to move quite quickly. Doesn't always work that way. And I've MD who you talk to about football just now saying it's a difficult window. So I think it's a difficult window because of the prices.
Because of that, and because obviously there's less than 2 weeks to go, do you almost feel like personally you're kind of trying to play catch up a little bit with the season so close? Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. No, we're not going to hide the facts. We've got to remember where Sunderland and we finished in the last few years. I think we've been 17th, 16th, 14th, 17th. So this has now got to be a building job, which hopefully I'm here for 4 years. I want to try and bring a level of stability to the club. And this reminds me a little bit of Everton when I took over. When I took over at Everton had been in the bottom 6. I think it was 4 out of the 5 years before I came in. So there's a similarity in a lot of ways, but it doesn't. You're not going to change it in a couple of days. You're not going to change it in one transfer window. And if we are a bit late in the transfer window, we'll do the best we can. But what we want to try and do is get the right players, like we did in the early days. Got the right players at the right price, and players which we think can go the journey with us. We want players who are going to do the time with us and be here for the length of time and improve, and hopefully make the team much better.
You say that you've got some offers in for some players right now. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us how advanced they are, or how many you require?
No, I wouldn't tell you the fine details. I mean, you wouldn't expect me to answer that question anyway. But the fact of the matter is, I'm saying we've got offers in for people already. We've worked really hard. I've got to say I've been really impressed by the new chief exec, who's desperate to get and help me get as good a side as we can. And obviously, as you rightly said, we don't have long in the transfer market to sort of make things work. But in the same breath, we're not going to be stupid. We're both not daft, and we want to try and get the right players.
And in terms of Sam Allardyce, big shoes to fill. He did a terrific job in a short time here. I suppose it shows the power of this football club that England came calling for him after doing so well.
Well, we were talking about how many managers have been at Sunderland, and it's a terrible record. And it's a terrible thing because managers need to get a chance to work, and they need to get a chance with their vision to try and put things in place. I think Sam done a great job in 6 months and actually started to put things in place to move Sunderland on. But he was always a great candidate for England. He's never hidden the fact how much that would be his job. And as well as that, he's had the stripes, he's done the journey, he's done the leagues, he's done the clubs. And that experience, that experience is so important. So he helped me when I got the job, told me about the players, told me about the staff. And I couldn't say anything but good things about Sam, and I've got to say the job he done in keeping the team up last year was exceptional.
Finally from me, the chairman went on record the day you were announced as a manager to say you were his first choice the last 5 appointments. How nice is it to know that you've got that complete backing and that he's wanted you for so long?
I've always thought Ellis Short reminded me of Bill Kenwright. They allow you to get on with your job. There's not much interference. They give you all the support they can. They give you all the money they can. They allow you to take control and try and run the club the way you want. So the big thing for me is that Ellis has given me all that and given me a chance to build the club up. This club doesn't need building up because it gets 45,000 people. But I do think that if we could get a side which wasn't sort of bobbing along the bottom, I think we could really get a great atmosphere. They've got a great set of supporters, and I've got to say I've got a really good owner, and I hope that we work together, we build the club up. He wants me to go and do what we've done before, and I've got to say it's very nice. His comments were very complimentary. Thank you.
David, Rob Scanlon from Premier League. Nice to meet you.
Hi there, Rob.
Okay. You mentioned that the situation, and I guess the owner reminds you of your time at Everton. How confident are you that you can replicate the magnificent sort of success you had at Everton?
I'm confident because I think that you look at the transfers we had. I would say that at Everton we had the best transfer record of any club anywhere in the Premier League with the players we took in, and I'm hoping to somehow replicate that in my time here at Sunderland. Can I do it right away? No. Is it a changed world? Of course it is. It's not as easy now as what it was before. But I've got to believe with good recruitment, hopefully us putting the effort and the hours in, which we're totally dedicated to try and improve. And I've got a great love of the game, and I've got a great love of the Premier League. And I want to be back in it, and I want to try and mix it with the big boys. But we have to make sure expectations realise that we've been at the bottom for a long time, and we have to slowly make progress year by year to try and get further up the league.
Is it the most competitive Premier League in your time, especially with all the new managers coming in and the money available?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to say I've been in Spain. In Spain I've got, whatever we say, Spain I've got the best teams. So, but the Premier League is the thing that everybody wants to watch because the level of all the teams, there's a competitiveness which is very hard to get anywhere else in the world. And I think it's good. I think there's a great group of managers in the Premier League. I think that's excited people as much as it has some players. So from that point of view, I want to be part of that group, and I want to challenge myself against them.
There was a big reliance on Jermaine Defoe last season, who had a fantastic season.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Graham, Stephen Fletcher have both left.
Mm-hmm.
So is it fair to say strikers a priority for you?
Well, that would be one position, but I've got to say, undoubtedly, there's players have left even from the team which finished the season last year, and I have to say that we have to add to that and improve that. But, it's easy me talking about it. We've got to go out and try and get it done, and as you well know, we don't have a great deal of time left.
The coaching staff, sometimes when a manager comes in, they inherit staff.
Yeah.
Sometimes they bring people in. It's early days yet, but you've obviously got some very good coaches here. Do you know what you're likely to do?
Yeah, my plan's to keep both Paul Bracewell and Robbie as well, and I will make changes in some areas, but ideally I'm going to try and go along. I mean, these people helped keep the team up last year, so I'll work with them. I may add as the season goes on, or as the year goes on, as I see fit. But the first thing I want to do is get in. It's a good time to come in because I get the whole season, but in another way it's a little bit of a more difficult time because I've missed the first 3 weeks of pre-season. Season's about to start, so I don't want to disrupt too much just now again. This club's had too many disruptions over the past, and let's see if we can get a wee bit of continuity and if we can get a level of stability which allows us to progress, that would be the most important thing.
Yeah, that stability, or the better, stronger and more stable club that Ellis Short talked about and you talked about in the sort of opening statement. How do you quantify that?
Well, the first thing is we need to sort of try and bed it down. They've avoided relegation last year, but it was the same the year before and the year before and the year before. We have to try and put an end to that. But no, those facts don't lie. So this is it's a great club, it's a big job for me, it's a big challenge, but you know, I'm more excited by this challenge because of the stadium, because of the facilities, because of the owner. I can see this giving me a chance to progress and make the team better, and hopefully, as I said, I'm going to say it again, do a bit of an Everton if we can. In the last 8 years or 7 years at Everton, we never finished out the top 8. So I think if we get that opportunity, I do feel that we can make this club. It has a great fan base, and I'm going to need them.
Just finally from me, you have been linked, obviously bound to be linked with a few names of players you've worked with before, Marouane Fellaini Adnan Januzaj.
Yeah. If any of those good players want to join me, then I'd be happy to have them, I'm telling you, because they're excellent players, and no, we're interested, but I'm sure there's a load of other clubs are as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi David, I'm Simon O'Rourke from ITV10.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you. Normally when managers change over, it's because the team has been failing, hasn't been functioning well. Does it give you at least some encouragement that for the second half of last season, this wasn't a team that was failing?
Yeah, I've got to say, when it got round Christmas, January time, I thought Sunderland looked as if they wouldn't make it. So I think the job Sam done was exceptional, you know, to turn them round and get them safe at the time. It was a great job, it really was. And I'm pleased for Sam that he got the big job which he probably always craved or hoped maybe someday it would come around. The opportunities come for me to take Sunderland, and as I've just said, you know, I think Sunderland have got potential which many clubs don't have. But we have to progress because we don't want to be in the position we've been. But we know that's easier said than done.
Just ask about you personally. Do you feel you're a more rounded football manager given your experiences of the last 2-3 years?
I think the older you get, you become more experienced, you see it more. But I hope I'm still as aggressive as I was in the early days at Everton, and I hope I've still got that will and fight to finish in the top half of the league when really we didn't have an awful lot for us. We didn't have a great deal of cash, we didn't have a great deal of what money to sort of go out and spend, but we found them and we got a team good enough to win, and I want to win, you know. Winning for me is the biggest thing. I didn't do it enough at Manchester United, but the job is to win your games, and that's how you keep your job, and that's how you move up the league.
Last one from me. One friendly left, prestige one against Dortmund. What do you hope to get out of that?
Well, playing a level of team of Borussia Dortmund is what I hope we would get, because I want to test myself and I want to play against the best teams. So we'll get something out of it. You know, I've liked it to have been in, you know, one of the stadiums so that we can have got the feel from that. But we've got to try and get ourselves a level of performance. We know that because we're getting into big games coming up very shortly, and I'm hoping to see a bit more. The players improved in their performances, their fitness is improved. They sound as if they've had a really good pre-season. But as you know, we've got one or two players who've had injury problems, and you know they can crop up at any time. Hi there.
Again. Talking about injuries, it's a cliche to say that you need to hit the ground running when you start the Premier League. But with those players out injured already and no signings in yet, how concerned are you that you're going to be able to do that?
Well, that's the job. You know, every team will have situations like that. I wouldn't say we've got big injuries. We've got people who've picked up a couple of knocks in pre-season, but I'm sure if you went round every Premier League team, they'll probably say the same about a couple of players. It does happen. I think the more important thing, the more pressing thing is that we get add to the squad. That's really important, and I think we need to make sure that we get the right players in, players who can do a job now. But we've also got to try and find players which we think that we can start to build towards a longer future. It can't always be, you know, get somebody in to keep us safe, get somebody in to save us. I don't want it to be that way. I want us to get players which they might take a little bit more time to develop, they might take a bit of time to become what we want, but I would prefer that than us sort of having a revolving door here all the time.
On that basis then, would you be looking to get more English players in?
Certainly, if they're available, and to try and promote that type of player. I mean, I want to look at the boys in the academy. I want us to see what's there. That's what it's there for. But they also have to then step up. So there's nearly saying, come on then, it's your chance to do so. And you know, it's easy to talk about, but they have to show that they can be available. But if we could bring more British-like Premier League players, then I'd love to do so.
Sam Allardyce said that his forte was man management, and I guess he showed that because he did bring the best out of the players that he had and gave them the self-belief that they needed to get out of the desperate situation that they were in. How important is that to your style of management?
It's very important, but I'll be different from Sam, no doubt. But I think my record, I think I've got the 4th best winning record in the Premier League of all the managers. So that's what I want to bring to Sunderland. I want to bring that record to Sunderland, but I need players, I need teams which give me that opportunity to do that. I don't want to lose that record. In fact, I want to better it. So that means that we have to get players which can do that.
Just finally for me, as you say, Sunderland have been sort of bumping along the bottom for the last few years. Will success for you in the first season be just not being in that relegation scrap?
Possibly. I'd like to think it's going to be better. I think my first year at Everton was said we just avoided relegation. The club had continually avoided relegation. I think the first year we might have finished 7th. Do I think that will happen? It'll be very difficult because I don't want to, but I have to believe that there's a possibility that can happen, and I want the players to believe that the job's to win the games. It doesn't matter who the job's to win the games, and maybe at the start we might have to win a few of them a bit ugly. But as we go along, I hope that it'll become much more exciting. I want the supporters to be excited by what they see, but I can't guarantee that on day one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, couple here at this end.
Sure.
There's a story in the Mirror, I think it was today, saying that foreign clubs are really cashing in on the money in England and overcharging players. You've obviously worked on the continent recently. Just from looking at the market, it's a reason you haven't dipped your toe in yet. Do you see that sort of overvaluation? And is that
definitely. I remember last year I was at the end of my time in Spain. I had taken a couple of trips into France to see some games and bumped into a lot of the people, sporting directors with some of the French clubs, and they were all looking forward to the British clubs coming with their money. That's what they were saying. So, and I think that's right. I think it's proven. I think the prices have gone up with the extra money, and it's suddenly become quite difficult to value a player. Where his pitch is, and I actually think a lot of clubs are actually a little bit frightened to sell their players because they're worried that it might look too cheap compared to maybe what their original maybe book price value for the player was.
And just looking at the references you made to Everton just today, because of the relative stature of the club when you've walked in the door, do you see that as really your most relevant experience, more so than United or in Spain?
Well, I think this is my job now, and this is the job. But I look at it and I think, if I can do a similar job to what I've done at Everton, it'll help it. It'll help Sunderland, but it started very similar. It was in a very similar position. It was never built quickly. It was a little bit of progress year by year. That was all we were looking to do. And I think if you're a Sunderland supporter, you'd want steady progress. Unless you're going to be spending billions, but you probably couldn't even spend it now because of the other clubs have spent it already. So we'll try and grow, we'll try and improve, we'll do a lot of work in the training ground, and also, as I said, we'll try and recruit as well as we possibly can.
And if I can just follow up and just a little clarification really on the mention of Fellaini and Januzaj, you said you were interested in good players, then you said of course we'd be interested in them. Did you mean those two specifically?
No, we're interested in lots of good players, and you've got to have a realistic feeling. There'll be some players who we can attract just now, and there'll be some players we can't. So we'll try and get the ones we can. We'll try and get the ones who want to come here and start on the new journey we're on. Okay, thanks lads, thanks, and ladies. Sorry.